Agony was first released on the 29th of May 2018, and the speedrunning scene surrounding it has been minimal to say the least. The earliest Agony speedrun was by Rafael Custodio. It was from the demo, and he was able to get through it in 1 minute and 24 seconds and 67 milliseconds. His strategy was simple. He would die to the first Onoskelus by the pit, and then while his soul was free to roam around, he would descend deep into the circle in the middle of the level and get close enough to an available body to possess. There's a certain distance he needs to reach until the game realizes that he's able to possess a body, regardless of if he's literally below it on a separate level. Following that, he skips even more of the level by just jumping down to the floor below. Following that, the demo is played out pretty normally, with the exception of not grabbing a torch to handle the locusts buzzing around in this lower area. There are no more demons that can kill him by this point, so it is pretty much a free run to the end. Later, he would return and cut the time down to 1 minute by employing a useful strategy. Skip the demon and just jump down to your death. It's far faster to jump down than float down as a soul, and you skip a very, or at least relatively lengthy kill animation that the demon uses on you. The rest of the speedrun is played out exactly the same. When the game came out, it failed to leave an impact on the speedrunning community. The main game involves stealth and hiding away from monsters that can instantly kill you, which, while games like Amnesia or Alien Isolation, which has similar mechanics, do get speedrun, those were games that were released with high praises by both reviewers and gamers alike, while Agony had a rough start to say the least. But still, a few people have seen fit to play through the game as fast as possible. But rather than play through the main game, the story mode, they instead focus on the unlockable Succubus Mode that you get by completing story mode. The problem with Nimrod is that he's slow, vulnerable to everything, and can't run for very long. Meanwhile, the Succubus can run indefinitely, tends to run faster, and is either ignored by every demon or can kill them in one hit. The first Agony speedrun by Gaia B was completed in roughly 27 minutes and 45 seconds. The strategy for getting through Succubus Mode as fast as possible is simple. You crouch down, and you run, and you run, and you don't stop running until you need to jump on walls, and then you run some more. And while it may seem like I'm oversimplifying this, I'm really not. It really is a mad dash from point A to point B. Though you probably aren't supposed to just run by all the demons, nothing was done that wasn't intended by the developers, with the exception of at the very end, where rather than cling onto the walls down, he just jumped, since the Succubus takes no fall damage. Later on, a new runner, Mario Mose, would cut the time down to 25 seconds and 43 milliseconds. The time save was due to better routing and the use of a glitch or two to his favor. So going over the biggest differences between the runs. In the first run, in the area that the demo takes place in, Gaia B dashes past the Onoskelus and descends down to the second level. Meanwhile, Mario makes use of a shortcut that is open to the Succubus and skips the Onoskelus and a lengthy gameplay segment. Later in the game, in a level called the Floating Forest, there is an area past a particular statue that you are able to run across and platform through before dropping down to a lower area called the Mushroom Mine. Gaia has ran through as much as he could before what I assume is accidentally dropping down. On the other hand, Mario has decided to drop down as soon as possible. The time saved between these methods is around 8 to 9 seconds. The biggest time save was at the end of the third level, where you are required to navigate around these spindly tree-like fibers and make it to a temple area. Even when the footage is twice as fast, you can see just how long it takes to get there. And finally he's in. So what did Mario do differently to save time? Yep, it's that simple. If you die right at the start there, you respawn at the midway point of this section, thus saving a boatload of time. From then on, the runs were pretty much the same between them, perhaps the shorter one having slightly better movement. About slightly less than 3 minutes were saved between the runs, but I'm sure there's probably some more interesting skips and tricks to be found. Still, as far as the basic Agony goes, that's about it. That's the fastest anyone has gotten through it. 25 minutes, 43 milliseconds. So then, what about Agony Unrated, the PC-only, unrestricted version of Agony? Well, if it was at any way a popular speedrunning game, it doesn't even have a page on speedrun.com. It's likely that Agony and Agony Unrated would be judged separately as far as completion times go. This is due in part to the changes made between both versions. In some ways, Agony Unrated is an easier game to pick up and speedrun. Succubus Mode is unlocked from the start, so you don't have to complete the main story if you want to speedrun it. The lighting is a lot better, making it far easier to see where you're going, and the game is more stable due to a myriad of bugs and glitches that have been patched out from the original version of Agony. However, there's quite a few things that makes it significantly worse. The world record for Agony Unrated is 40 minutes by Psychonaut, and there's a reason why the time is significantly higher than even the worst of the two speedruns for the basic version of Agony. Perhaps the biggest difference between both versions as far as speedruns are concerned are the addition of traps and environmental hazards in Agony Unrated. There are areas in the basic version of Agony that can be ran through without thought or worry, while in Agony Unrated, one would need to slow down and take his time in order to avoid being crushed or stabbed or otherwise killed and have a whole lot of time wasted. The most time consuming of these traps are these spinning blades that need to go through perhaps not 1 or 2 but 3 separate rotational cycles before the player is able to pass through unscathed. These are nice additions to the game if you're playing it casually, since it adds more flair and flavor to the world of hell. But if you want to get through as fast as possible, you're gonna have a rough time. But the Agony devs can't be blamed for everything. Another source of time loss is killing the demons, something that the 2 speedrunners for the basic version of Agony didn't do. Whether a lengthy slice at a short or the kill animations on an Onoscalis, these eat away at seconds that could have been spent just mad dashing by them and hoping they don't catch you. Another time loss in the ice world was when Psychonaut died to one of the traps. Additionally, he did not utilize the death skip at the area near the end of World 3. It's entirely possible that he didn't know about this skip, but you can see how slow he's going on this sort of tree branch here. It is also possible that the skip was patched out in the unrated version. If there's one thing he did do that saved a bit of time, it was skipping some of the cutscenes, specifically the ones that play at the beginning of every world. And that's where the record stays today. 25 minutes for the basic version, 40 minutes for unrated. Given how it mostly is a sprint from point A to point B, it really isn't the most interesting game to speedrun. Perhaps when the console patch comes out and the features of unrated are added to console versions of the game, there'll be a bit of an upcrop, especially since both versions are more or less equal now. But until then, I hope you enjoyed the video, that gave you something to think about and otherwise entertained you. Take care.